eating salads and sipping chai tea. Checking out the cleavage on Schwab TV. Magnificent Jesus, Rob and Randy, Living Goose, Rich Nixon, Michelle, and Funky Stingy with his grades. We got a lot to prove. Patience is the key for Gamma Jama moves. Opening bell is the sound that makes it go down. Sneaky snake, sharp patterns, moving averages, and
Being in the now. Being in the now.
buying up pullbacks, riding rockets and rips, protecting our assets, pouncing on the dips, market maker shakeouts, standing our ground, waiting on our setups to capture our crown. Stingy with his grades, we got a lot to prove. Patience is the key for Gamma Jama moves. Opening bell is the sound that makes it go down. Sneaky snake,
Chart patterns. Moving average and being in the now. Being in the now. Yeehaw! Alrighty. Watchboardjim with a sneaky snake trading strategy where I talk about chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. And right now we're going to just kind of go over a little watch list, show you how I kind of trade. First I'll kind of chart patterns. So I have different kind of chart patterns that I use. I got these right here. These top 16. Continuation pattern. These are all in the continuation side. So we have a descending triangle, which sometimes these can go either way. Coming out of a snake, it all depends on if it breaks out here or not. And that's how I come up with the 1, 2, 3 trading strategy. And the intro, I think, I noticed just a bit ago it said 2 years. I got 21 years behind me. Then the next one is a bearish flag. They're pretty easy to spot. And then you have the bearish wedge. Now this is called a rising wedge too. And it could, when you're coming down out of a snake. My strategy is all about taking the trade on a pullback or looking for a reversal pattern from a breakout. So the snake is a downward channel. And then it comes out of that channel and it breaks out into a pattern. Here we have the bearish rising wedge, which can be bullish. Depends on if it's going to break out here on the 1, 2, 3, maybe the 4 breakout. Or if you can count to 3, you can trade with me. If you can count to 4, you might make a little bit more. Symmetrical triangle. This also can go to the upside. It's a continuation pattern either way. But when you're coming out of a sell-off and out of a downward flag, usually a channel of some sort, it'll start to consolidate into a flag, and that's where you got to watch out. Now this is a continuation pattern to the upside using an ascending triangle, a bullish flag. I point these out all the time. We got a bullish wedge. Now the wedge can point either way, and it can come out of a snake, and just like this one right here. So it can go to the upside. Depends on the time of the day, the news, and how the market's doing, if it's a bullish day or not. Then we have another symmetrical flag right here. Then on the reversals, you got the head and shoulders, and I have a couple different ways I play the head and shoulders. You got the rising wedge, double top, and a triple top. Sometimes you get a double top breakout, sometimes you get a triple top breakout. Again, it depends on where you are in the time of day and how the market's doing right now. And then you got the inverse head and shoulders, which is one of my favorite patterns. You have the wedge. Now, I call this a falling wedge. It also breaks out of the snake to the upside, double bottom and triple bottom. So we're going to look for patterns as I go through my watch list, and I'll point out a few and tell you if I think it's going to be, good for this coming week or not. Fat cats have all been kind of bearish here lately. Some of them are sitting on the sidelines. Now, when it comes to the moving averages, I'm going to give you my moving averages that I trade with, and get your pencil and paper out. I've got the EMAs and 2 SMAs on here. The EMA is the 21, and I got it in white. I've got the 63 EMA, and I have it in red. I have the simple moving average, which is an SMA, the 200, which is in gold. Then I have an EMA, which is exponential moving average. That's the 9 EMA. I have it in a blue. And then we have the moving average, the EMA at the 200. I have it in a dotted yellow line. And then the simple moving average is the 50 SMA. So I use the moving averages when I'm looking at different time frames, telling me if we're at a resistance level, or maybe even if it's going to pull back to a support level and hit that moving average. And I started out with just a couple of moving averages, the 200 and the 50 SMA. And then I've experimented and been through time. I've worked for different kind of moving averages. So let's get into the charts. Now, I got Amazon on here right now, but we're going to go through the IWM. Now, I'm using the 20-day 1 hour right now. And you can tell we had a Friday, we had a week high, or maybe an all-time high. Not an all-time high, but definitely. We can tell if it's an all-time high by looking at the weekly. Let's clean this up first. Yeah, all-time high on the weekly time frame. So that really kicked ass. Look at this run we've had on this thing. Pulled back and hit the 21 and broke out. So this week's coming week's support is going to be, and I use the bodies of the candles, and I use the wicks as just a confirmation, or sometimes if the wicks line up, I'll use them. But basically, I use the bodies of the candlesticks. And so here on the weekly, I'm going to go back to this previous high we had here on this body. I'm just going to kind of eye it. Right around 242.41. So if that thing pulls back to 242.41 this week, I'm going to keep a real good eye on it. Then I'm going to pull up the daily. You'll learn how I chart. Also, you got your double top here on the daily still. We can pull back, and that's where the 9 EMA is. So on the daily, if it holds the 9, which it has here quite a bit, and a couple times it came back and hit the 21, and then the 200 EMA down here on the sell on a real strong buy. See how it just hits that 200 EMA and breaks on up? Now this is an upward channel. So I just take me the channel, and I'm going to run it up to the top of that channel right there, and pull it back down and try to hit right about in there for a double bottom, for that So resistance is going to be the top of that channel this week if it decides to go ahead and run on up, which is pretty much right around $250. And the support level is going to be back here. The low support is going to be off the 21 EMA or off the 9. But we're going to keep that 9 right here. And I'm going to set an alert right off that 9 and type in 9 EMA on the daily. And that'll tell me when the alert comes up. And I'll go back and look at that because that could be a strong buy. Now to hold that triple top breakout where we had right here. You had some resistance right here, some resistance right here. And then you had the triple top breakout. It pulled back. And then it broke out this coming week. So support right around 243. And then the QQQ, I always look at these every week, every Sunday, to kind of get myself ready. We've been holding up the 9, the 50 SMA. Then you got this here spot right in here for a low right around 584. So I'm going to put a price line right across there at previous high. And that's what I'm going to call it. And then you got a gap right in here. And you got a yin yang, which is that previous high and that previous low. So that's going to be your first support. Right about there. And I'm going to set an alert right above it and call it, just call it support, first support. Then we got the SPY. I like trading the SPY and the SPX. I keep a good eye on them every day. We've had just a wonderful Trump run here on the SPY. We're due for a small correction. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we're definitely due for one. And it wouldn't hurt for a little pullback to buy the dip. And the 21 has been holding up. This is another trick that I like to use. I like to look to... Man, my nose itches. I like to look for what candlestick hit the moving average the most. And definitely running up on the 9. So as long as that stays support, let's clear this up. As long as that stays support, then, or we come back and we go just below the 21. Now we got the 200 right here. With the 21 EMA, 21 EMA, the 21 EMA, the 21 EMA, the 21 EMA, and we could easily come down and hit that 21 EMA and still keep this thing very bullish. So that's where I'm going to put that price line. And then I'm going to look for another candle here that's going to line up with that 21 EMA and give me kind of like a double bottom support here. So let's go ahead and this bottom of that candle right there and the bottom of that there hammer. It's going to be my lowest possible support this coming week. And that's a $10 dip. The first one's going to be right here off this double top breakout, triple top breakout. Now these are on the daily, so keep that in mind. And that'll be bouncing right off the 9. So I'm going to take this to the 1 hour time frame now. Because these are the ones I like to trade the most. And we have a trend line coming up, and we're going to see if that matches up with anything. I can't get it down, so I got to go this way out. Put it right there on the body of that candle and the body of that one. And that runs right into the 200. So that, and you got a head and shoulders right here. And then you got the triple top breakout right here. One right there, another one right there, and then another triple top breakout. So definitely, I'm going to put the alert down here for a double bottom. And I'm going to type in double bottom on the hour. Chart patterns, moving averages, being in the now. So I know that's a double bottom on the hour. And when that alert pops up, I get these alerts. I got an alert window right here, a little message center that tells me where I need to go with it. If it pops up here, it'll say what's going on in my message center. And then I also have the news down here below when I'm watching Schwab, or in the morning when I'm watching CNBC, which I don't really care much about CNBC, and I'm starting to get a little leery of Schwab. They got this new chick on there that kind of reminds me of how these people on CNBC call trades out, and I don't think it's very good. See how we had this here double top right here that pulled back? So we could come back if it doesn't hold the 63, or we continue the run on up, or it pulls back down and hits this double bottom. Now, you got a trend line that goes up like that, so you want to put that trend line in here using the body of the candles. See how accurate them bodies are? See, a lot of people use the wicks, and the wicks aren't really, sometimes don't line up. But the bodies, in a lot of cases, do. You got body, 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 and then body, and that thing's just knifed on back down. So we could be at a support right here. Now this is another pattern right here. It's called a megaphone. So that spy could easily come back down and hit this area right in here. Hit that bottom of that megaphone and then bounce back up. So that's called a megaphone pattern. That's an expansion pattern, a broadening out pattern. And you see a lot of that when the markets has a little bit of volatility. And that's where we are. We're at all-time highs, so you're going to get that volatility. So we could easily come back down and hit this support level. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put the alert on these three black crows. Three black crows is a bearish pattern, but I trade it as maybe a reversal pattern to the upside, which we did have three black crows and three white soldiers, and then it pulled on back to a double bottom. So this thing could easily break out a little bit and then pull back down and hit a triple bottom, and then run back up to the upside and break this, or at least come up here and do a double top, or do a head and shoulders. You got your left shoulder, and you can just run a trend line all the way across them shoulder and create that shoulder line of a head and shoulders. So you see a lot of things that go on in here that a lot of people won't catch. There's not too many of us that call these chart patterns out, but man, I love calling them out. They seem like they're pretty accurate. So set an alert right above this here right above this here yin yang, where we had that bottom off that crow, and then that candle right there, that kind of has an equilibrium. So you want to go ahead and set you an alert right there, and see if it breaks out, or see if it wants to pull back and then come back up and do a triple top break. 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it at mark and that below and set that alert right there. When I come in Monday, tomorrow, we'll see if we want to break that double top or that yin yang. And if we do, we'll run it on up. And we got these three different resistance levels to go to, plus that triple top breakout that we had right here. And that created a head and shoulders. Oh yeah, I can talk candlesticks. Now here's SPX. This is one of my favorite ones to trade. We'll go to the weekly just to look at the weekly real fast. It's at an all-time high last week. I'm telling you, this market is bullish. Fat cats are a little, they say it's overbought. They don't like Trump. I love Trump. I love Trump because he's been the first business president that we've ever had in the White House that I can remember that actually run a business. The other ones are kind of socialists. They're politicians. So I think he's been a great president. They don't like him too much because they cut off their spending. You know, they like Biden did. He printed trillions and trillions of dollars for the fat cats. You just go back and look at the money they spent for the green energy thingamajigger and EV cars, and just tried to break us. That's why we had such high inflation. So let's get out of this. Let's get out of that. So I'm kind of looking at what we got. We definitely got a triple top breakout. And I'm going to put, there's two things going on here on the weekly. Triple top breakout, which means, you know, that's going to be your low support. And we got this upward channel right here, which turned into a wedge. Or almost just a regular old channel. Whoop. Not supposed to do that. So that can keep running on up, or we have a little pullback. This is a real good looking chart. So I'm going to go to a different time frame, see if I can see anything else. Because that's that ain't telling me too much. I'm going to erase this and put this on the daily. Yeah, that's a lot better. The daily's a lot better that way. So support is definitely the bottom of this channel, or that 21 EMA right there. So I'm going to set an alert right at the 21 EMA. Boom. Now I'm going to take this to the hour. This is one of my favorite stocks to trade because I make, you know, I could do $2 or $3 grand on this stock every day. That ain't the one I wanted. I had a pullback there yesterday. So it could easily come back down and hit this here. This is a different pattern that I kind of made up. It's called the yin yang. It's where you take the previous resistance and look for the previous support level. And a lot of times they'll come back and they'll hit that for a double bottom out of that channel and hold. Or it comes down and hits the 21 on the 1 hour. Or down here for a strong buy at this previous high. We bounced off the 21 here, and we also bounced off the 21, and we came down and almost touched the 63. So I'm liking that. I'm liking how it's holding up the 21. This is going to tell me if it wants to stay bullish or not. I'm squeezing between the 21 and the 9. The 9 is above the 21, which is telling me it's still bullish. Now, if this 9 crosses down below the 21, we have a good chance of hitting the 63 and the 50 right here. Very good chance. And then we got a head and shoulders kind of right in here. So I'm going to put a trend line right there, so it could easily come back down and hit the 63 and be a real strong buy. Definitely be a strong buy. Now you got another head and shoulders right here where you got your left shoulder, you got your head, and you got your right shoulder, and you got the neckline right here of this head and shoulders. So those are your three different support levels. Strong buy at 66.33 or somewhere in that area off that trend line, with the pivot point being that yin yang, and that's a head and shoulders right there. And that could easily come back down. There's your head. You got your left shoulder and your right shoulder, and then your right shoulder broke out. Your third right shoulder broke out right there. 1, 2, and 3. So that's a real strong spot. That's stronger than this down here, but if the market becomes weak, those are your three different support levels. Now, I'm going to leave that one there, and I'm going to put different alerts at these three different spots. And I'll go back on the hour and I'll look at them. And then that third one right here, first one. And I always like to set them a little bit above where I think they're going to go to, because they usually stop sometimes above and then you miss out on the trade. So those are my alerts. You know, just for number reasons, the 6666, I'd do that just to play with the devil a little bit. Maybe it just, you know, it'll be fixated on going down and hitting that number right there. So those are the indices. We could see that we hit all-time highs last Friday, and we usually consolidate a little bit when we do hit an all-time high, and you can see it did pull back at the end of the day. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're trading. This is my watch list that I go by on a daily basis. I don't know how many I have on here. I say if you're new to trading, start off small with like 10, and then gradually add on as you learn how to learn the stocks, learn them a little bit more. Now, the stocks I have on my watch list are always high volume with a lot of news, and they're always being talked about. Always. Like my go-to stock in the morning, when I'm looking at AMD, and we had a big sell-off Friday on AMD, right straight to the 200 EMA. This thing's set up to go ahead and go to the upside if the market's bullish. There's a couple reasons. We got a triple top. 1, 2, triple top breakout. It pulled back to that triple top. It hit the 200 EMA. So this is a solid trade for Monday. I'd be watching it closely Monday at open. If it pulls back, it could hit the 200 on the 1 hour, but I really like the way this setup is right now. See, this is your left shoulder. This is your head. This is also a yin-yang from the previous resistance. And you have got a triple top breakout. You got it hitting the 200 EMA. You have 3 or 4 reasons right there. And I have a 5-reason idea trading strategy where if I hit 5 strategies, 5 reasons, 5 chart patterns, moving averages, if I get to the number 5, it's usually a strong buy. 4 is usually a good buy. You get down to 3, I have to question it. And then 2, I don't really want to take the trade. But you have triple top, you have a yin-yang, you have the 200 EMA, then you have a parabolic pullback for that day with a double bottom, tweezer bottom down here. So all good reasons to watch AMD in the morning. And that's also had 42 million in volumes, down 3%. So there's a lot of good reasons why I'd be watching this Monday. Then I got NVIDIA. Now, last week I'm hearing the chips are overbought. Are we in a bubble? They've been saying we've been in a bubble for the last 5 or 6 months. If you pay attention to them retards and fat cats, they want this market to pull back. But it just doesn't happen. I think some of them had that Leon Cooperman out there yelling about the market's way overbought, and heck, looks like he's 100,000 years old, can hardly talk. So I don't think a lot of these fat cats have adapted to the retail trader that well. And most retail traders I know are bullish. They were just born bullish. And I think it's a good reason why the market's up. So, I mean, if we listen to them idiots, they'd have missed out on this trade. They hate Trump. They just hate him. I don't know why. They used to love him. But, if we accidentally pulled back and hit the 63, but we definitely have a hard resistance right here. We have an ascending triangle. We have an ascending triangle. Hello? I heard you say an ascending triangle. What is that, Jimmy? I'm going to show you. You take and run your horizontal line all the way across. Then you take a vertical line. And that's called an ascending triangle. And we broke out of that channel. So on an ascending triangle chart pattern, they like to pull back to that previous high, which for about 2 months, we held that resistance level at 183.64 on NVIDIA. So that's where I'd want to put my support for a strong buy and keep an eye on it and see if it holds that and run it back up to the top. Eventually, we're going to break 200 on this stock. But that's an ascending triangle. And then we're going to take this to the 1 hour, 20-day 1 hour. And that could easily pull back and hit the 200, and that's a triple top breakout. That is also a head and shoulders with that ascending triangle to the upside. So you got a head and shoulders right here. If it does get nasty, it'll come back to the top of that channel right there. And we have a head and shoulders right here. You have your left shoulder and your right shoulder. So you want to take just like that. left shoulder, head, right shoulder, triple top breakout. Then it pulled back to that shoulder line. So those would be your 3 solid supports, but the moving average will hold its strength. And maybe if it does get negative, it could pull back and hit the 200 on the 1 hour. And then another time frame I like looking at is the 15-minute. And we have a triple bottom down here on the 15-minute. We have a yin-yang. And we have a double bottom. And we have another yin-yang right here with a triple top breakout, pullback, respected, runs up and breaks out to a double top. So when I come in the morning, I want to set an alert at that previous day low right here. That's where I want to put my price line. That's a hammer, 2 hammers right there with a tweezer bottom. So I want to set my alert right above that hammer. And then you got a head and shoulders right here. you have your head, you have your left shoulder and your right shoulder. So you want to do a trend line. And that takes you right back to that there, look at that, right on the support level. So we could see 186.54 or close to it. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit. I want to get it above that trend line because I don't want to miss that, just in case it hits that head and shoulders. That's the next pattern that I see. 186.69. And I have 3 reasons now to take that trade. Tesla's oversold. I called this out in the room yesterday, 415.92. We hit 416.58. It hit my alert, and it bounced on up. So this one's got to break the 200, or this triple top right here. You could easily get this back up to 440. Now, this had the good numbers. It came out, General Motors sold 60,000 EV cars in the quarter. Tesla does 500,000. They don't like Tesla. Now, you got everybody in their world, the ones that are into it, like, I can't remember names right now, but price targets of 515, 650, 500. And this thing had a pretty good sell-off in 2 days last week. So always keep Tesla on your watch list. Now we've got the 200 and the 63 to break. So what you're going to do here, you got a triple bottom. You want to use that triple bottom as support, as resistance. So this thing could easily run up and hit 435 and find some kind of consolidation, pull back a little bit, probably back to this here double top here. At 430.78. So that's going to be your resistance to break. Support to buy this sucker is going to be right down here on the body of that candle if it does dip on down below 420. And I'm going to put that into a red line because I'm going to really watch that one, that number right there, 420. And I'm going to set an alert right above it. So we'll be watching Tesla next week. Now it's got a triple top up here at the 200 EMA. Not too many traders trade this way because a lot of them don't take the time out to learn chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. But there's so many patterns that hold up support. So this is a triple top. This thing could come up and hit the triple top in the 200 and be a hard resistance and consolidate and then have another breakout. Intel's really been in the news. The government's throwing money in it. Was it NVIDIA throwing money in it? So, I mean, this thing's had a real good run. And here's an instance that I want to show you a different trading strategy, and that's called the Fibonacci. So you want to take your Fibonacci, come to the bottom up here, and work this way up to the top. And this is your trading range. And we did pull back to that first support of 38% off the breakout. So that could hold. Now, many times I'll say, I don't chase. I'll say wait for that channel of support. And if it stays within that channel of support, you should get a bounce. And Intel's had so much problems. It used to be the number one stock. Now it's became, the worst stock to trade. But we finally got that breakout that we've been looking for. So we need to consolidate. But if we hold this, we could bounce up and hit the head and shoulders. Or it comes back and hits that 50% pullback right around 435 or $35, 36, and runs back up, or it comes down for a real strong buy at 35.21. So I do this initially when I see breakouts. This one here ran from $32 all the way to $38 in 2 days. Then consolidated that run, which means that it could come back up and do a double top or pull back and hit this here, either one of these support levels. Amazon, beautiful setup here on Amazon. We have an inverse head and shoulders. This is on the 15-minute time frame. You've got the left head, left shoulder, and right shoulder. So if that doesn't hold, then it's going to come back and hit this other support down here, or maybe either one of these two right in here, with a real low strong buy at 217. And that ain't too much. I mean, that's a $2 dip, and that could do a double bottom on the 5-day 15-minute time frame. AMD we went over, I think. Jimmy likes it. Got HIMS on here, had a big breakout, and I talked about it in the room. Now we finally had a pullback, so I'm going to clean this up. This had a real good run. 20-day 1 hour. We've got a 1, 2, 3 triple bottom. And a triple bottom right there. So it could come back down and hit 48 for a strong buy. Or it could come and hold this triple bottom right here and run back up. Or it could come back down here and hit a double bottom, triple bottom here with that wick. Everybody follow me so far? I only got one person in here. That's all right. That's all right. People are probably out to dinner. Google could probably either break the 200 SMA, 200 SMA, 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, and run up to the upside, or it can pull back and hit a strong buy just under 240. Somewhere around there. Or break the 200 and run up and do a double, triple top up here. Two 250. Break that resistance. Then come up to the higher level right around 254. And hold this here quad bottom down here. But we're going to go ahead and draw a price line straight across that 240 area for right now. 241.64. We had this here break out to the upside, pull back, then it lost a little bit of respect. So I'd keep an eye, see if that thing broke the 200 on the 1 hour and run it back up. Meta. Oh, Nike. They were pumping the crap out of Nike. Nike's another good setup here. We're at the 200 right now. We can pull down and hit that 200 on the hour and run back up. They were pumping this thing big time. Earnings were up a little bit. You know, they made a huge mistake and went woke. So, you know, I'm not really a Nike fan in a way. I don't wear their Nike shoes. But this could be a good spot to get, because a lot of fat cats were calling this thing out. And they're definitely in it. And they're probably scalping it. They just don't tell you that. But we are close to the 200 right there, so I'd keep an eye on Nike. And then you got Meta. Meta's at a good support. You got a snake. You're down at the bottom channel. You got a head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders. This thing could easily come back to 725 this week and try to break it and run up to 740, then pull back. Should have got some water. Coin had a good run last week. It could consolidate and pull back and hit the triple top breakout right here. And be a strong buy at 349.50. And hold its own and come back up. Mr. had a double top. Came back and hit the 63. Looks like it's getting ready to squeeze. So this can easily come back down to a head and shoulders here and find support very easily. Be a strong buy. What's it? That ain't much of a support. It'd be off the 63, so that's a double confirmation. Yeah. Seems like it needs to pull back some, but I don't know. It's a double top. If it breaks the double top, it'll go higher. You got another one right here. So maybe it'll come back and hit the 200 instead of holding the 63 and be a very strong buy. That's on the hour. Starbucks is another one that I don't really care much for, but it's a fat cat stock. Oh, I got some water. Something tickled my throat. So we're definitely at a support level. Came back and pulled to support level right here. Or it could come back a little bit lower. Basically bounce off that triple top. So I'll be watching it. This needs another one. My throat's getting real tickled. Disney can hold here, and I've been calling this one 12.16 for the last couple of weeks. If it doesn't hold it, it'll come back and hold the double bottom at 111. Or it breaks out of 115. That'd be your hard resistance. And go higher. Now this is one that I don't care about either, but the fat cats they trade it. They like it. It's like Target. You know, they used to love Target. Target's not done so well since they went woke. A lot of companies have gone woke and advertised it, just did not do very well because a lot of us boycotted the place. Now this one used to be a great trade. Fat cats loved it, and all of a sudden they decided to go woke, and it's done nothing but shit. But we are at a solid support here, and it could be breaking out to a double top right around 106. That's a real good spot too, a real good resistance level. Here, I'll show you why. Take the body of that candle right there, run it to the body of that, and you got what you call megaphone. Came back for a triple bottom. So this thing could be ready to move up. I'd keep this one on watch this coming week. Boeing's another good one. That's Target. It's down here to triple bottom. Then you got Boeing. We called this Boeing Head and Shoulders out last week. It came back and hit the 21. So if no bad news comes in, this thing could easily start to move back to the upside. And it's got a lot of good news. A lot of planes were ordered when Trump was doing his business overseas. So I think he uses Boeing as a leverage, because everybody's got to have them jets. I keep an eye on the 21. We've held here for the last month. I mean, if it gets bad, it can run down here to a double bottom off the 200s. But this is a real solid trade, I think, for this coming week. It's good day trade stock right now when you're at these resistance levels. And that's a gap, so I think that'll be a good solid buy right around under $200 if it gets down to 200. If. That's real solid. You got this over here. I just now noticed this. Resistance there. Resistance there. Gap here. I mean, that would be a good spot to go long. Day trade and scalp here. But if this thing dips on down, I'd run it back up all the way. I'd hold it. I wouldn't worry about it one bit. And I think that's about it. I don't trade Netflix. Yeah, that's it. Okay, well, I'm going to get on out of here. Appreciate you showing up. Not too many of you. But that's okay. They probably said this guy's only been trading for 2 years. Which is a lie. So we'll leave here with a song.
Narcissistic Jim, with his ego and his wit, doesn't give a damn what you think of him.
Him one bit.
The market takes a dip, SPX Jimmy will buy. Bitching at Molly Carolyn, still the apple of his eye. Burp it up, Jim, let it fly, let it roar, let it roar. Stocks tend to rise with a fart from his core. Narcissistic Jim doesn't care what you think. He'll burp and fart out loud until his room stinks. Candles on his screen bounce like titties in the night. Birds get so loud the neighbors say that boy ain't right. Bull or bear, calls or puts, doesn't matter one bit. Jimmy's face can't wait for Nancy to come and sit. Fart for a dip, ass making noise. Burp for a rip, cheers from his boys. Jimmy is grinding away on his washboard toy. Burp it up, Jim. Let it fly, let it roar, let it roar. Stocks tend to rise with a fart from his core. Narcissistic Jim doesn't care what you think. He'll burp and fart out loud until his room stinks. Lots of fun he has, his ego's ablaze. Burps and farts collide, the room is so amazed. Narcissistic Jim, the legend, the king, playing his old washboard till that closing bell rings. Narcissistic Jim.
Alrighty. Well, this is the Sneaky Snake trading strategy, where I talk about chart patterns, moving averages, and being in the now. Have a great day.